welcome to the First Congregational Church in Williamsburg. As we gather in virtual worship, anxious about COVID-19 and also anxious about the civil unrest that has rattled our nation, we seek compassion and want to be compassionate. Let us do so mindful that human sympathy may calm, but divine compassion can heal your soul. This compassion stands alone through Jesus Christ.
Good morning. This morning, Reverend Worth has selected for our readings Matthew 9, verse 35, through Matthew 10, verse 15. Then Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom and curing every disease and every sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion for them, because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore, ask the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest." Then Jesus summoned his 12 disciples and gave them authority over unclean spirits to cast them out, to cure every disease and every sickness. These are the names of the 12 apostles. First, Simon, also known as Peter, and his brother Andrew. James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John. Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the tax collector, James, son of Alphaeus and Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanian, and Judas Iscariot, the one who betrayed him. These 12 Jesus sent out with the following instructions. Go nowhere among the Gentiles and enter no town of the Samaritans, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. As you go, proclaim the good news. The kingdom of heaven has come near. Cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons. You received without payment, give without payment. Take no gold or silver or copper in your belts, no bag for your journey, or 2 tunics or sandals or a staff, for laborers deserve their food. Whatever town or village you enter, find out who in it is worthy and stay there until you leave. As you enter the house, greet it. If the house is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it is not worthy, let your peace return to it. If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, shake off the dust from your feet as you leave that house or town. Truly, I tell you, it will be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment than for that town. The word of the Lord.
This verse, when the crowd saw him, he had compassion for them, because they were harassed and helpless, like a sheep without a shepherd. So Jesus had compassion. But what is it? What is compassion? Definitions of compassion include being sympathetic, feeling sorrow for someone, being concerned for the welfare of others, and as some have described it, entering into the suffering of others. As Jesus gazed out at the frenzy of the crowd around him, he knew why they were there. They were in search of healing from all kinds of illnesses, and in a search for wholeness. He also sees a people who have been harassed, a people who have been put down by the authorities. He senses just how helpless they are without someone to guide them. He knows how vulnerable they are to bad teachings and to the wolves that prey upon the sheep without a shepherd. So here we see divine compassion embracing those in poor health, those vulnerable to bad information, those harassed because they live in or outside the margins of society. When Jesus sees all these harassed and helpless people and realizes how few laborers there were for them, he tells his disciples to go out and do something. And he was pretty clear what he wanted to have done. You know, we are definitely in a time of great need for compassion. Today, as we face the awful truths of the COVID virus and also the virus of racism. Every death from COVID diminishes us, as does every act of racism. Divine compassion calls upon us to be compassionate. So it is with compassion that we continue to wear our face masks and keep our social distance. And so it is with compassion that we need to find ways to end racism, the sin of racism, that has haunted our nation since its very beginning. You know, it's about time. I heard, but how are we to be compassionate? A story I heard a long time ago may inform us. A man watched as a boy walked along the beach one early day, picking up a starfish and throwing it back into the surf. The man asked, "What are you doing?" And the boy responded, "I'm saving the starfish. They wash up on the shore and die in the hot sun." The man laughed and said, "Well, look at all these starfish. There are so many of them, and you are only one person. How do you expect to make a difference?" The boy picked up one and tossed it into the water. And as the starfish sank into the surf, he said, "It made a difference to that one." Divine compassion leads us to be compassionate. So to be compassionate, so be compassionate by keeping your social distance, wearing your mask. Be compassionate by demonstrating peacefully against not only the violence of racism, but racism itself. And if you can't do that, by pulling the weeds of racism from the garden of your life. And do that one weed at a time. Amen.
This is a prayer for compassion by Ashley Hughes, who is the Hall Director of Residence Life at Xavier University. And she wrote this prayer. Merciful God, open my heart and mind to be fully present to those I interact with throughout the day. Allow me to listen to others without passing judgment or haste to solve what I cannot change. Give me patience and understanding, and grant me grace in my shortcomings. Be with me in times of fatigue, and lift me with the strength to carry out your compassionate love to all those I meet. Amen. And this is a timeless poem that was written in 1869 by Kathleen O'Mara. And it was read again in 1919 during the Spanish flu pandemic. And now it's come back to us during this time of turmoil on so many fronts in our lives. A timeless poem. And people stayed at home and read books and listened, and they rested and did exercises and made art and played and learned new ways of being and stopped and listened more deeply. Some meditated, someone prayed, someone met their shadow, and people began to think differently, and people healed. And in the absence of people who lived in ignorant ways, dangerous, meaningless, and heartless, the earth also began to heal. And when the danger ended and people found themselves, they grieved for the dead and made new choices and dreamed of new visions and created new ways of living and completely healed the earth just as they were healed.
Our benediction prayer this morning was written by Mother Teresa. Lord, open our eyes so that we may see you in our brothers and sisters. Lord, open our ears that we may hear the cries of the hungry, the cold, the frightened, the oppressed. Lord, open our hearts that we may love each other as you love us. Renew us in your spirit. Lord, free us and make us one. Amen.